Hey everyone, and happy Monday. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone, so I wanted to get started. It is August 23rd, and I just want to wish you a very blessed evening. My name is Wendy Rollbeck, registered dietitian nutritionist. First and foremost, thank you so much for following me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you to those that have been with me every step of the way. We are approaching our 2-year anniversary to when I started Nutrition with Wendy LLC. And it's been such a journey, and all glory to God. It's been such a blessing to have the opportunity to grow a nutrition coaching business that offers services that range from coaching, education, counseling as well, and also doing presentations with people across the country, in the UK and in Canada. So please go ahead and drop a note where you're tuning in from. This is a very, as the young kids will say these days, a very woke message. So first and foremost, here's from my post today: be kind. This is really important that we be kind to our fellow brothers and sisters out there doing the best darn job that they can. Life is hard, life is messy, and we're going to kind of talk about that, but I really want to emphasize the be kind. And hopefully you did something kind today. If you saw the post, you got the door for someone, you complimented a stranger, maybe you looked someone in the eye and you smiled and you told them something that you like about them, or just a genuine compliment as I had expressed. But the world needs more kindness, and it starts with you, it starts with me. And sometimes kindness begins with what we see in the mirror. So being kind to ourselves. And of course, typically that resonates, and then we're kind to others. But as always, right, be kind, eat the rainbow, hydrate. But tonight we're going to talk about more than just nutrition. As a dietitian, right, I'm super passionate about nutrition, about coaching people, about helping people live their healthiest, best lives that are, of course, centered on Jesus Christ. I like to say that I'm Jesus Christ employed, so I work for him, which is true. This business is not my business, it's his business. And as a Christian who was a former non-believer, I am very passionate about always sharing God's message. And he had put something on my heart. So like I always say, when the Lord convicts you, you move, and you move quickly. So I have some notes that I took down as I took a walk here before I wanted to hop on. So I'm just going to grab those, and they're in my Bible that Pastor Schleiss gave me. And I had shared my story about coming to Christ. He gave me this Bible back in 2012, Menominee, Wisconsin. So it's a very special Bible, but I take notes in it. It's very full. It has all my Post-it notes, but I'm going to talk about a variety of things. Before I do that, though, I believe props are very important. So this is scissors. You likely saw this in my post. I had talked about, how, woke we're going to get, as like I said, the young kids will say, but I always like to keep it super simple and to, give you takeaways. So there's going to be 3 key takeaways for you this evening. That's right. Count them 3. So we're going to go through those. And first and foremost, we're going to start off with the scissors, right? So why do I have the scissors here? This is to emphasize and illustrate that there's a lot of negativity around us right now, from the media, from the community, from even people that are within our cohort, our family, maybe even our workplace, right? There are people, places, and things that are not giving you a positive charge, but you're continuing to plug into them. And I just challenge you that what do you do when someone doesn't support you? They don't encourage you. They don't clap for your wins. And in fact, this person or people or experience or places sometimes do this to us as well. What do we do for people, places, and things that don't support the future we're trying to create? We cut them out of our lives. We have to, just as a Christian, right? If a place, like for example, if you're creating an environment at home that isn't conducive to the healthy goals that you're trying to, live out and achieve, like for example, buying cookies, buying alcohol, buying things that don't support what you're trying to do in your lifestyle, which is be healthy, have more energy, improve your digestion, decrease your stress, right? You're buying those things, you're surrounding yourself with negativity. That environment is not conducive to your success. So same thing with the people. We have to be careful about, there's power in proximity, right? The proximity that we are within people, places, objects, things can be either positive or negative. So I just ask that if something is negative, don't feel bad in cutting it out of your life. Think about the scissors, right? That's number 1. So we become who and what we surround ourselves with. Garbage in equals garbage out. That's something that Tony Robbins talks about a lot. And although he has some charlatan-like values and views on nutrition, he has a good point in keeping guard of your mind. And again, garbage in equals garbage out. So if you want to eat trash, you want to sit in front of the television, digest all of that news, all the negativity, it's good to be informed. But again, if that's making you more anxious, more stressed out, more worried, that's not good for you, right? So surround yourself with the people, places, and things that support the future you're trying to create, right? So that means our food, setting up your environment for success, meditating, right? Doing the things, putting yourself in an environment for success. Even the route that we take home. I have a client that I'm going to talk about, Ned. Ned is 65 years old. He does not have social media, but he gave me approval to share his story. So I will share Ned's story with you later. But just a snippet of it is that he changed. We worked on habits. We've been working together for 2 years, okay? And we changed his route home from work. He's retired now, which is really awesome. But he used to go home and he would always be stressed out, and he would stop at that same fast food place, Culver's, and he would get the fried burger. He would get the, I'm not demonizing burgers or ice cream, but he would stop on the way home because it was conveniently placed on his way home. So by changing his route home, he didn't go by a Culver's. Now he was going by a grocery store. So he could stop at the grocery store and we could pick out our protein and produce, which goes back to something I always talk about: power up your day with protein, power up your breakfast, power up with protein and plants or produce, right? So that's your number one key takeaway, is we become what we consume, right? So you want to make sure and set yourself up for success, which leads into number 2, right? Is having a process, a system, accountability, something in place. So for those folks out there, again, this is more than just nutrition. This is about lifestyle. This is about taking ownership, getting off the couch, and deciding that you need to have a system in place for when you get too tired, when you get run down, you get fatigued. That's when we make our worst decisions. Deciding that, no, I'm not going to sit in front of the TV and continue to be more anxious, more worried, more afraid, more upset, more stressed out, and then make poor decisions. I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to replace this habit with a walk, right? Replacing that with a walk, meditation, reading a book, and also, again, going back to number 1, that we become what we consume, right? Proximity. There's power in proximity. So again, making the system, making the conscious effort to have something in place, a process that helps you be accountable. It holds you accountable to your goals. You have to identify what your goals are, but then you also have to have systems and processes in place and hold yourself accountable. And if you can't hold yourself accountable, hire a coach, hire a financial planner, hire a dietitian, hire me, hire anyone that supports a future you're trying to create. So I think personal stories are really important. So like I said, the scissors, right? Number 1. So if you're just joining us, I talked about the 3 things you're going to get out of tonight. And number 1 is surrounding yourself with people that support the future you're trying to create. So those friends, those bad restaurants, those bad bars, those bad choices, right? They may make you feel good in the moment, but they often leave you feeling drained, anxious, more sick, more upset, more stressed out, and even further away from your goals. So sometimes in life, we have to cut people out of our lives, right? We have to create a smaller circle, and we have to reassess and identify the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, because we become like those people. So do you want to become like Joe Public and Jane Doe over here, who are constantly complaining, they're negative, they sit in front of the TV, they eat bad food, they blame everyone else for their lack of health, their lack of prosperousness, their lack of faith, everything in between, right? And again, I'm just using the generic examples here so you get the point. Or do we want to be more like Bill Bow over here? Bill Bow is taking small steps. He's setting himself up for success. He's creating a process. He has a system in place. Bill Bow has 100 pounds to lose, for example. He knows he's got to make some changes, and that old ways won't open up new doors. And that goes true for not only his faith, his finances, his health. He understands, I've got a mess here, but I know that there are people out there that are solution oriented, right? God gave me amazing gifts and blessings. He also gave them to you too in your respected area. The blessings to help people and to use my brain to help others out there in need, navigating their health, their stress, and even some of the emotional turmoil. So just sharing the story, a couple of years ago, the last couple of years rather, I've had to significantly reduce the people in my life, the places that I go to and places that I visit, even worship, because I've understood that why would I surround myself with people, places, and things that don't support the future I'm trying to create? And when I say future, for me, the future that brings me closer to Christ, the healthiest, best self. Making poor decisions, stress eating, restrictive eating, binge eating, over exercising, things I did as a kid. I don't want you to do those things. I lived through those things, and that's why I'm so passionate to help you not make those mistakes, even as a young athlete, right? So if you're a young athlete that is significantly under eating, I don't want you to do that. I did that during high school cross country. I was good. I played college softball, but I could have been better. So again, that's my personal testimony. I understand that there are people, places, and things that trigger me in a negative way. And plus, if people don't support you, they don't support your goals, they don't clap for you, they aren't happy for you when you achieve something, that's really unfortunate. And those people, this is what we do. We cut them out of our lives. And that's not cynical. You pray for them, of course. We always pray for them. We pray that they understand that we have to do what's best for us. And that's not selfish, right? A lot of people hate Jesus, right? Think back and read the Old Testimony. Just even in worship too, we learned how many people didn't follow Jesus. How many people unfollowed him. Think about today's world. How many people unfollow you. They like what you post. They try to cancel you, whatever. It goes back and forth, right? Sometimes they're all in. Sometimes they're not. Personal testimony. Sometimes people are team nutrition with Wendy and sometimes they're not. And that's fine, right? You have to go and you have to plug into the outlets that give you the best positive charge. If you are plugging into people, places, and things that don't give you a positive charge, it's time to cut or remove them, right? So the people that are gonna, take note of that and they're gonna get upset are not your true friends. They're not your teammates. Think about a teen athlete. If they're going on the weekends, your teammates, and they're partying, and you understand that's not what you want to do. You don't want to be ineligible. You don't want to make poor decisions and put yourself in a dangerous situation. Those aren't your friends, right? You have to pray for them and do what you can, but you have to do what's best for you and remove yourself from that situation. Okay. Going back to obviously the process and system, have an accountability buddy. Think about this too. Say you have a friend or you have someone that, maybe you both decided, I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I want to get my finances in check. I want to go do better things. Okay. So you say, all right, let's do this. We're going to start going to the gym. We're going to do a resistance training session with the trainer in the morning. Okay. You show up for the training session, but your buddy doesn't. Is that the kind of friend that you want? I mean, think about how you feel. You feel neglected, left out, right? And he's not accountable. That's not a great relationship for both of you because you are reliant upon that person, right? For that accountability, that motivation, and vice versa. So that's not a good source for you to kind of build off, right? So we become the people, places, and things that we surround ourselves with. Proximity, power, right? There's power in proximity. So take note, audit those around you, right? I gave that example of Joe Public and Bo Bill over here that one wants to change their lifestyle. One is willing to make small changes. Small changes lead to big results. And Bo Bill over here is not going to throw in the towel after a couple of days. He understands that there is a process that has to take place, that you have to be consistent to be successful. So he's not just going to throw in the towel, right? So these things are really powerful. Some of these tools, I hope that this inspires you, convicts you, right? Again, audit your circle. Look at the accounts you're following. If they don't inspire you to be a better, more kind, more caring, more successful person, unfollow that person. Stop spending time with them. You become like who you surround yourself with. So if you don't like what you're seeing when you're looking around, be careful because that's going to be you. And that's not being rude or unkind. That's just the fact of the matter. And right now we have a pandemic on our hands, and there's a lot of unhealthy habits and coping mechanisms that are being utilized. Alcohol, eating, sitting on the couch, doing nothing. You have to get motivated. You have to get fired up, right? And I had this question asked of me several times this past week, like, Wendy, what motivates you? How are you so motivated? The fact of the matter is, what motivates me is being less than what God calls me to be. Years ago when I was a child, my family, we went through a lot, just like anyone. Nobody grows up easy, right? Another part of this is that everyone thinks that everyone that's on social media has it perfect. Oh my gosh, no. Nope, not a chance. Far from perfect. My parents divorced when I was a young child. No relationship with my mother, which again, I look at the positive side because that's what my dad and my grandma taught me to do. So we had an amazing aunt and uncle that stepped up. My brother and sister and I, we had great care. My dad took awesome care of us. He did the best that he could as a single father, but we faced a lot of adversity and a lot of challenges. And so when I say this, because there's a lot of people out there that they see on social media people's posts and they think, oh, they have it all together and it's so easy and da da da. No, there are days, I'll be honest, I cry, absolutely. And fortunately, I have the Lord, I have my faith now. But back then, I used to be so self-reliant that I was like, all right, I'm going to make a way. And I was so motivated, which fitness is my outlet. That's my coping mechanism. So when I was a young child and things were hard, we obviously did a lot of chores, but we, had sports and work, but I would run laps around the house. I would just dive into fitness. I did my first nutrition journal at the age of 13. I went all in because I wanted to control something because I couldn't control what was going on around me, right? We were just a bunch of kids, and it wasn't our fault that we were just kind of being shuffled around with all these challenges. So for me, I knew off the bat that, hey, I felt good. I felt confidence when I worked out, when I ran, when I sprinted, when I jumped, when I ate well. I found this significant connection in the foods I was eating, the information I was consuming, right? We become what we consume: food, nutrition, water, alcohol. I haven't drank alcohol in over 2 years for good reason. I think I had a glass of wine at a friend's wedding a couple of years ago now, but I don't drink alcohol. I don't have a problem with it. I would have, if there was a really great martini, sure, I would have one. But for me, it's not a part of my lifestyle. Those that I surround myself with, they don't drink alcohol. We are healthy. We take care of ourselves. I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone, but what I'm saying is I've been asked what motivates me, and what motivates me is to not squander my gifts. God gave me this amazing ability, this passion to evoke change and be helpful to others that are trying to improve their health, so that they can be the best people that they can be, the best grandfather, the best surgeon, the best doctor, the best PA. I work with physicians and RNs. I work with librarians, truck drivers. Everybody matters. I talked about this on a live before, that every job matters. There's not one job that's more important than another because we're all here in God's kingdom. Okay, so whatever motivates you, that's not enough. You have to have discipline. So sure, do I not feel like doing things certain days? Absolutely. I'm like, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't feel like taking a walk. But I tell myself, if you don't get up and take this walk now, that's just the start of a spiral. And some people would say, oh, that's obsessive. Well, I completely disagree. Comfort is the enemy of achievement. If you want to sit on the couch and make poor decisions and feel tired, anxious, frustrated, overwhelmed, that's your prerogative. I certainly don't. I want to plug into God. I want to feel great. I want to feel happy, healthy, joyful. And I've never felt more joyful in my life than I do in this very moment because of God, because of the Project Nourish, giving out waters, doing things downtown in Grand Rapids, helping clients achieve their goals, trying to just share the love that I have and the glory with you all that God is trying to provision all of us with. Share my experiences with you. My dad taught me how to read as a child. I didn't have a great education at a smaller school. I won't name the school, but then we transitioned to a new school. But my dad taught me how to read. He did the best that he could. I was just a young child. I don't remember what age it was, but he was teaching me how to read with books that were significantly higher than my reading level, let alone my intelligence level. So we're talking manufacturing books. We're talking combine mechanical repair books that were significantly 5 to 7 times greater than a 5-year-old's reading level. So I share that because it was a very painful moment because my dad was, yelling at me, why can't you read this? Why can't you understand that? So for me, at a very young age, I learned competition. I learned self-improvement, to have grit, to have discipline, and that you're not always going to feel like it. And life is hard. Life is messy. Life is not fair. Life is not fair. If you think life is going to be fair, you will always be disappointed. And I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm trying to be positive here. I'm trying to say that you just got to do the best you can. And a part of this too, have a process, have accountability, have a coach. Have something in place so that when you have a bad day, I had a really bad day the other day. You know what I did? I went to my process and I said, what's my process in this situation? Pray. I get down on my hands and knees. I cry it out with God. We have a good cry. We ugly girl cry, ugly boy cry if it's for you. I talk to God. I let him know what's on my heart. And I say, I can't do this. And he says, dear child, I know. We can do this. You can do this with me. And that's the whole point of being a Christian. And again, I'm not perfect. I have had so many failures. I failed my RD exam 4 times because I had test anxiety, because I put so much pressure on myself to be successful. And I put all of my stock in that test that if I couldn't pass that test, I was nothing. Okay. And there's people out there that struggle with that stuff. So for those that don't talk about any of that stuff, again, social medias, look at me, I'm perfect. No one's perfect. I've shared this openly on many podcasts too. And I shared this on the very first podcast I was on with Jimmy. He's based in California. And we talked about this and simply put that I said, it's not a no, it's just a not yet. And that's anything in life. It's not a no, it is a not yet. If you approach it that way, there is no failing. There's just a simply trying. And what I did was I stopped studying. I said, you know what, God, there's a reason why I haven't passed this test. I'm going to just leave it up to you. I didn't study. I put my books away. I said, enough is enough. I walked in there and said, not today, Satan, passed the darn test, and then went on with my life. And now I've acquired several other credentials, and I'm successful because of God. Right? Because I trusted him and he wanted to get my attention. So I failed the test. I kept missing it by 1 point. And it was just so devastating because I failed it for a year. And you want to think for a second that I didn't doubt myself and think about all the people that told me during my master's, professors that said I was too stupid or that I wouldn't be successful or that I would never be a dietitian. I wouldn't even get my master's. If I would have listened to all those people, do you think that I would have worked with some of the clients that I did today, and some of them wouldn't have, some have openly shared that they were going to commit suicide, but because of their lifestyle change and what they gained from working together, do you think that any of those things would have happened if I would have listened to the people that told me no, that I couldn't do it? So that's why I pause and I reflect and I say, stop surrounding yourself with negative people. If people tell you that you can't do something, that is a reflection of their limitations, not yours, okay? Because God has provisioned you with a brain, with a willingness and ability to be successful. And if you need help, hire a coach, get accountability, get a system in place, get something set up so that you can be successful. For me, passing that RD exam was about realizing I had exhausted all resources. I had studied my butt off. I knew that information back of my hand. I literally was the last person, as my mentors would say, the last person to would have failed that test. But I actually went to a behavioral therapist and I did a psych eval, and my IQ is well above normal. I have an amazing memory recall, and he diagnosed me with performance anxiety. And it was really cool because this was a hotshot psychologist at MSU in East Lansing, Michigan. And he's like, this happens to athletes all the time. He said, you work with athletes, you know this, right? What happens when we get stressed out, we get worried, we're not well fed, we're not well rested. We experience what is called performance anxiety, in which we just can't function. And that's how I felt in the test before I gave it to God. I just didn't know. I would freeze. I would not be certain. I wouldn't be confident. And now it's amazing because I can reflect back on that and I can say, look at all these situations that I had that I overcame with the grace of God. Because of him, I was successful. And now I can help bless other people and help them be successful too. And we can just grow God's kingdom, and it's amazing. And we get to do this together. So again, scissors, cut people, places, and things out of your life that are negative and setting yourself up for a positive environment. That includes your house. Don't bring that food into your pantry. Don't bring the alcohol in there. Don't bring anything. Don't even bring people over. Those friends that, right, the friends that support you, but they only contact you when they need something. Those aren't your friends. Or those teammates that are always encouraging you to, it's fine. Just, just lie to your parents, defy the rules. It doesn't matter. You don't need to do that. Those are not the people that you want to surround yourself with. And by the way, thank you for those that are commenting. I'm feeling super passionate, and I wanted to make sure that I delivered this message the best that I could, that I glorified God, that I was kind and graceful. And I just thank you so much for those that are following and posting and listening. As I tell anyone, we are not our jobs. I'm more than a dietitian. I'm more than Nutrition with Wendy. People have called me NWW, and that's awesome, and I embrace that. But I'm a daughter of Christ first. I put God first. This is all for him. So I really hope that tonight's message, as we continue to go through, inspires you to get woke, as what the cool kids would say. My athletes would say that too. So whatever it takes to get you up off the couch, to get you out of that bad routine, the cycle, because I work with a wide array of people, from young athletes to older adults, and I'm going to get to Ned's. Ned's testimony is amazing. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but again, I have to be symbolic with the scissors. It makes me seem crazy, but again, people, places, and things, there's power in proximity. So Who are you surrounding yourself with? What food? Again, good nutrition. There's a direct correlation with what we eat and how we feel. Hydration. So to finish up and wrap up the number 2, the processes, is that, all right, I have people that haven't even worked with me. They've just sent me messages that, hey, I read your blog, or I've been implementing this and I lost 20 pounds, or I did this with my young athlete and we got results. Fantastic. Awesome. You don't even have to work with me. I give out so much free content. If you just do it and follow the process and be consistent, you can be successful. But if you would like to work together, of course, you can contact me. I have both men's and women's healthy nutrition coaching groups, as well as group athlete nutrition coaching. So if there's a young group of men or women that are interested in doing that coaching, I offer that up. So anyway, all things aside, process. So what I do with my routine and being successful, again, motivation comes from just wanting to be the best that I can to help other people. And the healthier that I am, the more I can do for other people, the more that I can help. So have a routine. I strive 7.5 hours of sleep every single night. I don't know how much water I drink. I know I drink probably 1.5 gallons likely. I consume water always before coffee. I do like coffee. It's enjoyable, but I don't rely upon caffeine. We should always get our energy from food. Same thing with breakfast, powering up with protein and plants. Power up with breakfast, 25 to 40 grams of protein. It depends, of course, but just a good rule of thumb, power up with protein. Take a walk, have a gratitude journal, be thankful for something every single day, have structure in your day, right? Processes, systems in place, take a walk at a certain time. Don't cancel on yourself. Remember that story I shared about that friend, right, that canceled? He didn't show up to the training session, or she, they didn't show up to the training session. Don't cancel on yourself. Remember how that felt when that person left you high and dry? Don't cancel on yourself. If you say you're going to do something, you got to do it, and you got to hold yourself accountable. And again, if you can't hold yourself accountable, hire a coach to do so. But you've got to have some sort of process, consistency, something in place, a system, right? And this is the Bible where I took a lot of my notes. Okay. So making sure, all right, we're walking through the day, that the processes I have in place. I have multiple calendars, but this is what holds me accountable is, it's in the calendar. I'm blogging, I'm writing this article now. I'm going to work with that client there. I'm coaching that person at that time. Okay, I've got to do that meal prep for that person. All right, I have their programming, and then I'm going to take a 30-minute walk that I scheduled in here. Do not reschedule on yourself. Do not cancel on yourself. Don't cancel on God, especially not God. If you say you're going to do your devotional at a time when you know you're going to be all in, and don't just do it to check a box, right? I did this for a while. Again, I'm saying I'm not perfect. I'm sharing from experience that you will not get anything out of it if you're just checking a box. And hydrating, that's super important too. I'm going to take a hydration break. I hope that for those that are on the call with me, are also going to hydrate as well. Especially with how hot it is outside, we need to ensure that we have sufficient fluids, and that's important because water lubricates our joints and tissues and helps digest our nutrients and absorb them. And if you're having headaches, it's likely because you're dehydrated. All right. So a part of that, the process, like the accountability in God. Do your devotional, read your Bible, have that time when you know you're not going to be interrupted, because it's just setting yourself up for failure, right, to make poor decisions if you skip out on that devotional. So for me, I know that if I don't do my wake up, drink water, devotional, it's going to be a tough day. It's not going to be a great day. I like to start my day off with God and end my day with God as well, with gratitude. And I'll talk about that too for the third takeaway. But resistance training session 4 times a week for 30 minutes. That's all I do, right? And I just take really good care of my nutrition. That's a big part of it. For me, that's a process. Do I always want to eat my vegetables? Well, I love vegetables, but sometimes I get tired and I don't want to cook, and I don't want to do things that, again, support a healthy routine. But I remind myself, what are the pros and cons? Well, if I don't do this, if I start skipping this, I'll start to slip, and that will make me feel a little more tired. Maybe, then I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a salad that's going to cost more. I have these financial goals. So for me, I audit everything that I do. And again, if it doesn't support the future I'm trying to create, I don't want to be a part of it. So I'd say, nope, gosh darn it, get your discipline, get up, get the food prepped, get things done. And again, the calendar, having that system, again, that's really important. Okay. So taking the walks, having the devotional, being having gratitude, being grateful for something every single day, because that puts you in a mindset. And if you read my blog about the $60 effect, which is such a cool story, God is amazing. I was having a morning. It was 3 weeks ago now, and I was just walking and I'm thinking like, how can I be, have contentment for my life and have joy in what I'm doing? And I was starting to spiral into this negativity thing that we all do. No one talks about it, but we all have negative days. We all have bad days. I have days where I doubt myself and I think, burn the whole thing to the ground. What are you doing? Who would ever listen to you? Okay. So if people are out there on social media saying that they know everything, they're confident every single day. No, that's a complete fabrication. We are not confident every day. The normal person, the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? If you will, people, those that think they know everything and they have it all figured out are total liars, because we don't know. We also don't know what we don't know. So for me, I'll have days where I do get down on myself and it becomes negative. So I say to myself, replace it with something positive, right? Atomic Habits, it's a great book. It reminds you about how important your thoughts, your habits are. Okay, so for me, I laugh at myself and I say, oh, there I go again. Not today, Satan. It's his same bag of tricks. He's trying to trick you when you're stressed out, right? When did Jesus get tempted? It was after the 40 days in the desert when he's tired, hungry, thirsty, lonely, afraid, all those things. So, not afraid rather, but the Holt mechanism, the hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Right? So for a lot of people, very tired, very hungry right now. And I'm not talking about a physical hunger. I'm talking about a spiritual hunger. People are hungry for God. They're hungry for passion and purpose. So again, what you're eating, how you're talking to yourself, the things that you're doing, that is going to influence how you feel. So for me, now that I've really found a great foundation, a good routine with God, I'm sharing this with you that I don't have those concerns, but I do get them. They'll creep in, but immediately we shut it down. Like I found that $60 that one day because I stopped myself, and before I found it, I said, you know what? No, God loves me. He's blessed this business. He's blessed me with opportunity, with skills, abilities, passions. I'm so grateful for this day. I'm so grateful for the legs that are taking me around this block. And then bam, the Lord provided provision, that $60 that I could match with my own $60 to go bless the folks in Grand Rapids. So cool. And to continue that now, doing as much as I can. But the whole premise behind that is that we've got to be grateful and we've got to shut down the negativity. And anytime something negative pops into your mind, replace it with something positive. Spin the energy in the right direction, right? So then you can be proactive. And remember, there's power in proximity. So always have a pen and paper handy when you're getting a great idea, so then you can write it down. Or you can also journal about why you're feeling the way that you are, and getting it down on paper and then cutting it up using the scissors that I set aside here, and just getting rid of that, right? Just toss it aside. All right, so moving forward, the third thing, and I've already kind of talked about this, number 3 is having gratitude, grace, and optimism. So in addition to, right, we talked about number 1 is having an environment that sets you up for success. We become what we become what we consume, right? Garbage in equals garbage out. So we want to make sure that we provide ourselves with a positive charge and surrounding ourselves with good people. And as always, I'll show the scissors. Cutting out anyone that is not supportive of our future and is a negative influence on us. And then number 2, right, having a process, having a system in place to being successful. And then number 3, a part of the process is being grateful, having gratitude, having grace for yourself, having grace, compassion for other people. That's really important because it tricks your brain, right? There's so much negativity going on right now. And again, my heart goes out to Haiti, Afghanistan, our troops, the folks here in the United States and beyond, our entire world. What's really comforting, and again, it's terrible and it's heartbreaking, and I find myself crying and praying about it each night because I'm a woman. Like if I think about the women and children in Afghanistan, it's just, there are no words to articulate what's going on, and it's devastating. But what's comforting is knowing that God knows all of what's happening. He knows of what's going to happen. This is all something he's aware of. He's not surprised by this. He's not shocked. Right? God has a plan for each and every one of us, and we will be persecuted, each and every one of us, right? So if you ever think that having your faith just shields you from anything, that's not true. And in fact, living a Christian life is a hard life. It's not easy because you're not in control. God's in control. But that should give you a comfort and peace of mind, knowing that God is not asleep at the wheel. God knows what's going on. He's in control. He's got a purpose for all of this. And that if you aren't able to comfortably voice your love and faith in him, again, going back to the circle, that's not the type of circle that I want to be in, right? I would rather be alone then surrounded by a bunch of people that I have to be quiet about my faith or about the grace and love that God has provided me with. So again, going into number 3, having love, having grace, having kindness, compassion, generosity. Again, going back to what I had shared in the post today, be kind. Right? This is a symbolic reminder. Another part too of the systems and routine that I talked about, having a coin, having some sort of mechanism that, can reduce your stress. For me, it's my daily devotional book that sits there. I have multiple journals, but for you, maybe it's gripping onto a coin. I have a Not Today Satan coin. It's a great coin. But this rock reminds me that even when I want to be frustrated and there's somebody out there, whether it be in your cohort, in your family, in your friend group, that you're just like, oh, that person just really, they said this thing or they did this thing, and it's just like, you just can't get over it. You got to forgive them. But you don't have to surround yourself with them. Give them grace just as the Father gives you grace and kindness. So the gratitude journal, starting your day off with God and ending it with God, is a great way to keep you in check, right? Because we don't deserve any of the provisions that God has given us. I know I don't deserve them. That's what humbles me to say, all right, I can't be upset at that person. Plus, being upset at someone else does you no good, right? Who could ever send me a message or share their hands? I ask this when I'm on site with presentations. Show of hands, right? How many people have had a positive outcome from being really angry and stressed out about someone else and what they did, right? No, not a single person. In fact, it takes from you. It increases your heart rate. It increases your blood pressure. It makes you more stressed out, more angry. It affects your sleep negatively, right? That's a negative thing. So don't even put yourself in that scenario. Repent. Give them forgiveness, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve it, right? Because you deserve to have peace and comfort in your life through the Holy Spirit. So it's always connected. All of this is. And what's really amazing is that if you would have asked me to give a message like this 2 years ago, I wouldn't have, because I wasn't as strong in my faith. So all the trials and tribulations and the relationships that I've had to cut out of my life, I flipped my life upside down. I left a very difficult situation, God willing. I never would have been able to leave it without the glory of God and without him grabbing my hand and saying, now, let's go now or never. I wouldn't be alive here today. And again, he saved my life before that too, but I just wasn't, as open to it. So what's really amazing is that in life, in our world, you have the freedom of choice. You have the ability to choose to be healthy, to be joyful, to be kind, to be considerate to others. It's a choice, right? And no, you're not going to always, get praise and compliments for the basic things that you do, but you should do them anyway because it's the right thing to do, because it's about having a system. It's about having a process in place that helps you be the best person that you can be, because heaven is eternal. This world is not our home. It's not, but how you treat people is going to affect what happens in our eternal home. Will you make it there? I pray that I make it there. So that's why for me, what gives me comfort and joy is knowing that I did the best that I could each and every day. And I'm not going to stress about things that I can't control. I'm not going to stress about people that, are upset that I cut them out of my life because they weren't a positive influence for me. I'm not going to be upset about any of those things because God calls me to do something. I don't care about other people's opinions. I care about God's opinion. And he was the one that gave me life. He gave me oxygen in my lungs today to talk to all you great people. So I'm going to glorify him. I always want to be kind. I want to do the best that I can. Do I make mistakes? Absolutely. Will you make mistakes? Absolutely. Will we continue to make mistakes? Absolutely. We're making a lot of mistakes right now as a culture, as a society. But as always, we get comfort in knowing that God's in control and that he is going to provide if we choose to follow him. So what's really cool is this was a 2 week ago message. Actually, no, I need to share about Ned before I forget, because Ned's amazing. So Ned, I wrote down some notes here. All right, so Ned he's 60, he gave me approval for this. He and I have been working together for 2 years. He doesn't have social media, but he said that I could share this. So Ned is 65 years old. He's divorced. He's dating again now, but we've been working together for 2 years. And what we did as far as his lifestyle change is actually what I implement into my healthy lifestyle groups for both men and women. So if you're just curious about what we did to get him down the 50 pounds. There's a lot of folks doing great things. And again, my testimonials, the clients that work with me, I love sharing their bright spots too. So if you want your story shared and you've worked with me, we can do that too. But Ned's is really special because his really just was evolving over time. So 2 years, right? 50 pounds. Most people would be like, well, 2 years. Okay, yeah. Well, Ned understood that it's a process and the time is going to pass anyway. So he completely bought in. And he's like, yeah, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So he started we made smoothies in the morning. We got more fiber in his diet. It decreased his cholesterol levels. His triglycerides went in the positive direction. So they used to be in the 400s and now they're around 120, which is a significant improvement, right? We want those below 150. Same thing with his blood glucose levels. His metrics were just amazing. He was at his doctor, so I wanted to share those with you. But the metrics, the weight loss is all great, but the most important part is that he said, Wendy, you have made me a more kind-hearted person. And what's so cool is that there's a couple of men out there that are like the old rough cowboy type that I've worked with, and they've said the same thing. So that's, again, not because of me, but that's because of God, the Holy Spirit, working in to soften people's hearts and to make them more kind. But Ned has shared how amazing it's been to go to bed and not worry about stuff he used to stress about, to not have anger and resentment towards his ex-wife, to sleep better, to not have, again, these panic attacks, to not have the stress. He wakes up, has his smoothie, he takes his walk. He used to be a driver, so he did a lot of sitting. But it's just amazing. So now that he's retired, he has all this additional free time. But again, he was still working when we started working together. So he did the smoothie in the morning. He started taking the stairs at just shopping malls. He didn't really exercise. He just started walking. He took the stairs. He changed his nutrition, of course, eating more protein, reducing the processed carbohydrates. He was doing a lot of grains, a lot of cereals. Changed that. Again, protein. He had about 40 grams of protein at every meal, and Ned is a bigger guy, so for him, that was great, right? Because we know that there's satiety associated with the protein. So 40 grams of protein, lots of fruits and vegetables, as many as he wanted, unlimited amounts. Never went to bed hungry, always felt satisfied. He did learn that too much fiber at once did make his gut a little unhappy, so we got that dialed in, but started drinking more water. Started again just feeling better, having more energy, more confidence, and then even got into the dating world again. So I'm just so proud of him. He's amazing. I wish he did have social media because he would be just a riot to bring. I'm laughing. He's great. Again, like my clients become like family. So we are a big family, and I know that some people say that's not a good idea, but I'm closer with a lot of my clients than I am a lot of my friends and family because we just talk so much more, and it's a great accountability and it's a cohort. So anyway, Ned's amazing. Be like Ned. He had several setbacks. He didn't feel well. He even had COVID he had COVID 7 months ago, and he was laid up for a while. He wasn't feeling good, and his nutrition suffered. He didn't feel like eating much. He couldn't taste much, and he kind of went down to a spiral. He said I could share this. He started getting fast food a lot, started then taking that route, going back to Culver's. What's really tremendous, though, is that he caught himself and he said, I'm starting to lose sight. I'm starting to lose the process that we put in place and my goals, right? Things are starting to get out of control and I want to get back in control. And I know that God is demanding more of me and that I can do this. And he had some progress and success. So that gave him some momentum to keep going. So that's the biggest thing to those out there that are frustrated with a couple of weeks of changing habits. Okay, you're not wasting those habits. It's stored, right? That stored success that eventually will pan out. So take a look at the testimonials on my website because they're amazing. The folks that have been given, the opportunity or given me the opportunity to work with them, I feel so blessed and so honored because they each have a story. They each have some sort of trauma in their life that it's not even about the food. It's not about the lack of exercise, the unwillingness, that they're lazy. It's that something happened along the way that deterred their confidence. It deterred their ability to believe in themselves. So me believing in them, God believing in them believing in themselves and changing their habits resulted in positivity, weight loss, improved biometrics, improved confidence, getting back out there and dating and getting back out there in society and saying, I don't care what you think of me. I feel good today. So I'm going to, live my best life. And that's what it's all about. So some people literally, as I had shared at a post too, you get a flat tire, you're stranded on the side of the road. You don't slash the other 3 tires. No, that would be ridiculous. It'd cost you more money. You're going to be more angry, more tired, and sitting there on the side of the road, right? Stop self-sabotaging. If you know you're self-sabotaging, throwing chairs in your own way and tripping over them, stop, cut it out, right? Literally cut it out. Set yourself up for success. Identify what those triggers, those habits are. If it's somebody that says something bad to you, if it's a person, if it's food, if it's a stressful situation, before you spiral, stop, halt. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Drink a glass of water, take a walk, meditate, pray to God, stop yourself, because I guarantee whatever addiction it is, there's a lot of addictions and coping mechanisms out there. Absolutely hire a therapist, hire a psychologist, but understand what the real root of the problem is. And for the majority of the folks that I've worked with, whether it's skipping meals, eating too much, eating too little, there's always something that's in the routine. There's a habit, there's a trigger, there's something that we walk through, right, to unwire and rewire so that things can get back on track and that we don't self-sabotage, and we understand that the time is going to pass anyway, right? So we might as well be proactive and make the right decisions. Okay, so this has been very tangential, but again, the Lord was on my heart. I got to share about Ned, which was really great because he's amazing and continues to inspire me on the days that I'm feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. And I just remember, if Ned can do it and get himself back on track, I can. You're only one small decision away from a big life. One small decision. All successful people would agree that the decision to be successful is in your daily habits, the routine, the systems, the processes that you put in place, right? Nobody just decides one day that they're going to make $1 billion, they're going to achieve all their goals. It starts with your small habits, your daily routine. What are you doing consistently? Nick Saban had a great video the other day talking about a press conference release and just the habits and the showing up, and that, all of the scouts are out there watching games and practices. They're watching you every single day as an athlete, right? So how you do everything is how you do anything. So I know for some people there's funny posts out there like, you brush your teeth really, really hard. You don't brush your teeth the same conviction that you would running a lap if you're, an athlete. But I disagree. The whole point is that we should have purpose and conviction, and we should do everything to the best of our ability. We should do it 100%. We don't do 50%, right? You get out what you put in. So if you want to put in 50% of the work, whether it be in your finances, in your health, and your goals, you're going to get out 50%. So the only person that you can be upset about, that is you, right? You are in control of your habits. God is in control of your life. If you give it to him, he can bless you and provision you with more than what your heart desires. But you've got to be willing to put in the work, and you've got to be willing to trust the process, be consistent, and not get upset, not blame other people. Remember how I said life is unfair? It's incredibly unfair, and we know that because of what people are facing in other countries. It has re-inspired me to appreciate the amenity, the safety of just walking outside, okay? If you don't get excited about being able to safely walk outside your home right now, you need to be woken up. Wake up, America. Wake up, world. Wake up, people. There are things that we do in our daily process that we take for granted. I, myself included, I'm holding myself accountable. I take for granted the ability to literally just walk outside without having to be concerned about being assassinated, right? Seriously. This needs to be said, right? So like I said, it's going to be woke. Again, going back to the 3 key takeaways. So surround yourself with positive people. What you consume, you become. That includes media, people, places, things, foods, right? Surround yourself with positive people, places, and things so that you can be a positive person and be more productive. There's power in proximity. Number 2, right? System, process, accountability, a coach. Hire somebody, a process, a system, have something in place so that when stuff hits the fan, for lack of a better word, you have a process in place so that you don't gorge yourself or do something undesirable, like go have a cigarette or go drinking or go make a poor decision or get off the rails with your nutrition, or even decide to just tune out the world and just give up, take your ball and go home. Don't do that. Have something in place that, you know what, it's just now, it's not tomorrow, it's not yesterday, it's not next week, it's just now. And your brain can only process one thing at a time. So anytime something negative comes into mind, replace it with something positive. And I say that because an individual had influenced me in my life a couple of years ago, and there was some good and there was some bad. And I like to take away the good and leave the bad. And that's what you should do in any situation too, again. So just remember that getting upset about what other people do and how they respond to you making your decisions and what's best for you is none of your business, right? Because again, it will not be productive in any way, shape, or form of your energy. You need to invest your energy in being a better you. Take a look in the mirror and be the best you by focusing on yourself and stop worrying about what other people are doing. Successful people are never worried about what others are doing, and they audit their own habits and they do the best that they can. Again, so number 2, processes. And then number 3, gratitude, grace, kindness, having all of those things. And again, my Be Kind rock, starting and ending your day with that, it's a part of the process, right, is the best way to be truly grateful, to have a joyful life in being grateful for what God has provisioned you with. And even in the most simplest things, which we should, because again, there's people out there that don't even have clean water, that have lost absolutely every possession to their name, their family photo. So if you can't find something to be grateful for, and you're watching this video, I will pray for you, because we have technology, and again, if you're watching this, you have all that you need, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be watching this. Okay, so I myself included, we are privileged people. Life is hard, life is messy, life is unfair, life is not easy. So if you think that the people that you follow on social media have it all together and everything's perfect and fine and dandy, it's not. And I'm the first to say that. There are more days that I cry and that I plead to God, like, I can't do this, and He reminds me that I can do this with Him. And I'm reminding you that you can do this with Him, with me, with your community, with positive people. So surround yourself with good people, have a process in place for both good and bad, making right decisions, accountability, and have gratitude, have grace, have compassion in everything that you do. So for me, the events about what's going on in the world have given me a newfound appreciation for life. So every single day, I look at my schedule, I look at the things I did, the people I talked to, the decisions I made, and I ask myself, could I have done more? And now I'm able to say, no, I did the best that I could. And that gives me peace every single night, because it's not about working ourselves to the bone. It's not about having the most successful business. To me, who did I help today? Who was I kind to? Who did I positively affect? There might be someone in your life that they feel completely unseen. And if you take time to just see them and say hello, and compliment them, tell them how beautiful they are, tell them how grateful you are that you saw them, how amazing they are, tell them thank you for the work they do, workplace appropriate, of course, right? But give them a genuine, authentic compliment and use their name. Just see them. And if you're on this call with me, I see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being here. Please let me know how I can help, how I can pray. I work so hard on giving out so much free content, and sometimes I feel frustrated because I'm like, there's so much misinformation, and I work so hard to just give good, quality, evidence-based content and prayer that it helps somebody, that it gives someone hope for a future, just like God promises us in Jeremiah 29:11. For I have plans for you, declares the Lord. Plans not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. And He gives me so much hope and so much joy. And I hope that you experience that same hope and joy. And I know that Instagram is going to cut me off at an hour, and it's been a very long hour. So I'm going to go take another walk and pray for everyone that's been on this video. It's been such a joy and pleasure. Thank you for taking time out of your day and your schedule to be with me. And I do just hope that I will be also writing a blog on this too, so it'll be great. But I do hope that you'll take time to be grateful for what you have, be kind, pray for our brothers and sisters around the world, around the country, and beyond. Pray, please, please, please. Instead of arguing about politics, this is just my recommendation. Just pray for our political figures in office. I did not vote for Joe Biden, but I still pray for him. I still pray that he makes the best decisions for us and for our country. And I'm still, again, he's like our pilot, right? He is driving the plane. So why would I want him to fail and crash us, right? I'm on that plane. So are you. So stop being negative about our president. I know that I'm very critical of him too. I'm frustrated just like everyone else. And I have to remind myself that he's our president, and although I don't agree with a lot of the things that he does, I know that God is in control and God will take care of all of this, and He has a plan. He's not surprised by what's happening. He will take care of this. I just pray that Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, those other political figures in office, that they make the best decisions and that they have the humanity of our world, our humanity at top of mind. I pray for them, right? I pray for everyone on this call. Dear Jesus, please bless our families, bless our friends, bless our enemies. Be with us. Please help us understand that you're in control and that we need you and that we are not self-reliant, we're Jesus Christ reliant. And Lord, I just want to thank you as we approach a 2-year time frame, commensurate the amazingness of you and that it's been 2 years since I left my full-time job and started my private practice. Thank you, Lord, and bless everyone who's on this call. And we just are so grateful for you in your humbleness and grace. All right, everyone, and have a blessed evening as always. And let me know how I can help and pray for you and your family. Take good care.